Hey, welcome back to Disaster Podcaster. If you have been following us for a couple of seasons, we're glad to see you still around. If you haven't, go back and check out some old episodes and different seasons. We change it every single time. But here we find ourselves in season 5, episode 11. We did our last podcast middle of last year. It might have been in the fall. Go back and check that one out. Toby had a great chat with Alex Duda from Aldiware, and I think there was a lot of good nuggets there for everyone to watch. So after that one, we took a break. No real reason, no excuses. There's no drama here. I think we got busy, but we also, I just ran out of things to say. This podcast is not a sales engine per se. It's not a big platform. It's just a place to have conversations openly with people on where they watch them. We wanted to have something worth saying. We went through a season, our fall and then our winter. I wanted to tell you the way that I have reframed a little bit how I contribute and see my contributions to the disaster industry occurring. Of course, we still have a coaching and consulting firm. That's not going anywhere. Stronger than ever. Huge opportunities coming up. But I've been giving a lot of my time to a nonprofit called USDR, United Survivors Disaster Relief. This is a nonprofit specifically geared around survivors, helping survivors. The organization is made up from the founder and most all of the volunteers being survivors of a disaster themselves. Now, we're talking Katrina, Sandy, the wildfires in California, Hurricane Helene, Milton, Ian, Kerrville, Sandy Creek, Texas from the floods last year. Doesn't really matter, but if you are in an area that's struggling, or you yourself struggled with what it means to go through a disaster, sometimes the best way to heal is to help other people that are going through it. So our organization was built just around that. We rally around people that we have met in all the events that we've been to. And if they want to stand up and help other people with what's called disaster trauma, I think it's a good thing to do. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what I've been doing there, inspire you to look at the restoration and disaster industry a little different, and maybe consider this might be something that you want to participate in, contribute to, or just follow me on the journey as I've been doing it. So I met the director of USDR is a shared colleague, Doug Quinn, who also is executive director of the APA, the American Policyholder Association. They are a nonprofit watchdog group that helps fight insurance fraud, insurer fraud, not insurance fraud is very general, but when insurance companies commit frauds, legal, illegal, civil penalties, fraud. And they have been fighting on that front for many years. And I have been a strong advocate of holding all parties on all sides of an insurance policy claim, in the insured, the homeowner, the business owner, the insurance company, everybody, the contractor, need to be held accountable for being of the highest integrity. This organization just does that. So I met Doug, and Doug has been doing the work with USDR himself and his wife for many years. They just would go to areas in, say, Philadelphia or New York City, homeless, hand out coats and jackets from donations, food, whatever people need. And then when there was an area-wide disaster, such as a hurricane, I know the Kentucky tornadoes, they would mobilize just themselves, very grassroots, in a van, as much as they could put in the back from donations, and go out to the marginalized areas, the areas that no one goes to. The restorers don't pile up. FEMA doesn't knock on doors out there. Insurance is a joke. These are people who were already living pretty difficult, hand to mouth, pay to paycheck, maybe less. And now they've lost everything that they possibly have gathered. So what do they need? Simple things, bigger things, help with resources. But most importantly, USDR has really attached to a lot of things around the emotional, mental health of disaster trauma. Forget the initial damage to a structure, home, business, but the long long entity of that. So this organization is really built around providing emergency needs. We actually go and support first responders in the very first beginning of it. We help people long-term with themselves, and then sometimes organize to advocate for themselves with their state and local representatives and make sure that they're seen and get what they're promised and owed in any case or not. So it's been a great organization. I met up with this organization for the very first time last summer. I think I did a podcast about it. We certainly was across a lot of the industry media R&R magazine. We were in Kerrville, and I was there in the very beginning first, helping just set up logistics. So my title has become logistics director for the USDR. And what that means is I just go sometimes before I sometimes before we deploy. That's just doing a lot of back end logistics. Where are we going to stay? What are the conditions? What limitations do we have? We're going to be bringing in some volunteers who aren't necessarily experts at disaster recovery. This might be the first time that they're venturing back into what's going to feel like a very familiar environment for them. And we want to make sure we protect the people that we want to go connect with, the survivors that we might have there. So Kerrville, Texas had a disastrous flood July 4th of 2025. And that's home for me. That's my home state. The area Kerrville along the Guadalupe River was a place that I camped as a kid. I fished and hunt down there. This was very much a familiar area for me. Kerrville, and it started further up the river than that, but Kerrville's where it really, really did a number. There was a camp there called Mystic where 200 plus campers, mostly young little teenage girls and younger, perished or washed away. Lots of campers, and just lots of disaster. So I was there for a week and a half, and really just connected with a lot of local organizations that were taking lots of donations. And what I quickly figured out, where I really, really got empowered with this and really enthused, was my career in disaster recovery. Even though that we kind of do structure and reconstruction and things like that, we're well equipped to knowing critical path of how to take a disastrous, sad, difficult time, but things have to get done. People need to be served in a way that things got to move. And we have those skill sets. We're project management oriented. We're definitely logistics oriented. So I noticed that there were a lot of other organizations, incredible nonprofits that were showing up to help, had a lot of resources and donations and goods, but not certain on how clear they were on how to use their skills and their resources and their materials that they had to give away. So I helped several organizations create distribution centers, rally points for everyone. We helped serve the first responders and the search and rescue SAR teams. K9, there was a lot of cadaver dogs that were down there working. I mean, they had their own camp set up, but we helped back end supplement that. I spent a day or two helping a nonprofit called Mercy Chefs. They are an incredible, kind of like World Kitchen. They feed people with volunteers and food in time. They set up at a very large church, and they were serving food. I helped serve food. I washed some dishes. I helped move some things around. It was very rewarding for me because while I was there, and I think this is where you might connect with this, while I was in Kerrville, which was my first deployment for this nonprofit, I realized that what we build our skills and our careers around as disaster restoration contractors, we develop an intangible skill set that other people need, which is what do we do next? We take that for granted. It's always the next project, but this was a bunch of good people that just didn't mind a little bit of someone with some experience to help guide them, push them, nudge them, connect with other people. That was a lot of what I did. I know so many people everywhere, plus Texas. I know a person, connect them with this. We had to get a helicopter. We had to get an airplane delivery, an aircraft, a military chopper. What was it? A Chinook special delivery of something that the search and rescue team needed immediately. I'm not in the military, but I knew some people. So that was very good. I was there. It was tough. There was some, slept in my vehicle. It wasn't your typical disaster. Everything was open around Kerrville and further out. There were hotels, but we saved the hotels for volunteers. There were volunteer groups coming from all over the country for helping search and rescue and clear trees and dig and things like that. But let's save those rooms and those resources for them. So it was a physically and emotionally a very, very tough week. But man, I was telling people while I was there, and I'll tell you, if you are questioning who you are and what you're supposed to do, you go do something like this in whatever capacity it is. Wash some dishes, help some people, feed some people, fill up cars with fuel at gas stations. I don't care. You help people like that, and you are reminded what your purpose is in life. The rest of the stuff is all how we make money and how we make a career and help grow a company that will provide a career for other people. All important. But this goes back to what Restoration Advisors and our ethos is. Your business is a tool to allow you to do bigger things. The business you have should fund your passion, should fund a bigger mission. For me, it's always been a business should allow you to be more generous and give more, and whatever that looks like, whether that's monetary to charity, but it could be time. This answered that call for me. So I went to Kerrville. We did an after action report with the leadership team and myself. And this was one of the first times that I would say the USDR has brought in many other people. The rest of the team came after a couple of days. We had, set up a command center, and they were able to deploy it. And they're still doing some work down there. They're still connected to a lot of people and help with some resources. But after that, we kind of said, okay, this is kind of a shift. This was a pivotal event. This was outside of our normal disaster, but what's normal? Disaster is disaster. I like to say disasters don't have zip codes and they don't have political parties. People try to make them political, but they're not. They are disasters and they're humans. After Texas, after Kerrville, sat around for a few months, kind of went back to work. I've been very busy otherwise, but a Category 5 hurricane decided that it would target and land in Jamaica. And it did. It was a devastating thing. Again, not necessarily where USDR normally would spread out to. It's generally been a very domestic U.S. company or a U.S. organization. But I have a good bit of experience international, as well as one other person that went with me. And the two of us, a gentleman named Carl, he is a rescue diver. He is a disaster rescue diver. And just general rescue, helps with diving needs for local police municipalities. And he's had lots of international travel from different careers he's had. So we went to Jamaica and we connected there with some other organizations, some very good sized organizations, and helped them supplement with some brains that understand the recovery. And we helped lots of areas. We were tied up with some helicopter crews that were dropping airlifts down into areas of Jamaica that weren't yet accessible by road while they were working on it. We fed a lot of communities. We distributed a lot of things. We helped put up some Starlinks so that communities and hospitals and schools and government buildings that were ravished would have some type of connectivity for the community to come and connect with loved ones around the island or the world. So we did that for a little while, and this was starting to take on a little bit of a different life. We definitely needed to build some SOPs. Again, we don't expect to start being an international company, but that one made sense. We had some other partners that were inviting us that already had substantiated a base there. We were at the Montego Bay airstrip, and they had a hangar there. We were using that from Sandals, so we had use of that entire bay with all of their logistics coordination people, some very, very talented, impressive people, some ex-operators from the military, lots of programmers. They have an app. It was pretty cool. It was really, really interesting. Came back. We had a training for USDR. We realized that in some of our deployments, some of our volunteers don't have the right training for what to expect, what to do, first aid, how to talk to and approach survivors without re-triggering them. It's really a delicate thing when you approach someone who's been a survivor of something. You wouldn't normally just use the approach you would in business. And so there had to be some training around that. We had that one. And then most recently, just a few weeks ago, I got back from the Pacific Northwest. So think Seattle, but northern central Washington State had devastating floods, and we took a few delegates from another organization called Organizing Resiliency. So they do a lot of organizing, as we spoke about, for the back end. So Doug and myself with two other people went out and spent a week and met some incredible people. There's an area that was heavily flooded, but they also flood often. So it's unique, but that doesn't mean that they don't need some help. So we helped with some goods on the ground. We connected them with other resources that they just didn't know they had access to. We helped them with a little bit of like how to fill out a FEMA forms and what to expect, and then advocate for themselves and take care of themselves, and to watch for signs of mental pressure, mental stress for themselves and for others. And then to recognize that people in the community that weren't affected, but they still are affected by everyone they know has flooded. Those are called PIs, peripheral impacted. So they're not direct impacted, but they're impacted by trying to be there for everybody else. And that has a real heavy strain. So USDR has become very important. Now, I would like to figure out as we grow, whatever that looks like. I know a lot of people in this industry that are looking for something of this, or all givers. We're all givers. We just need a good cause, and what that looks like. Contractors normally aren't geared towards this because you're inclined to go out and see who needs some work with some help and drying the building. But what you're doing is you're giving the information that you know, whether they hire another contractor, but we're not going out there to get work signed up. We actually would like to not be there on that at all. Does it happen? I don't know. I haven't seen it happen, but people ask. Don't come there with that. But go and give people for 3 days, 5 days, a week, whatever you can have time to spend. Go and tell people that you know what right looks like on having a healthier home. This is all floods are category 3. Fires are, incredibly toxic. That's not, you hired a contractor, your insurance company sent some contractor. That house is not safe to live in yet. And here's why. Give them some information for free. People that can't repay you. It's been really, really impactful for me. What is that going to mean for me moving forward? It's certainly not going to be a new career, but it might add to the one that I've been building. And I wanted to share that with you today. We talk a lot about empathy and restoration. Sometimes we've got to show that we care for people that we can't get anything back in return from. We got to understand where they've been. We got to understand what they're going through, like from a level that we forget. We forget that we are seasoned pros at this, but we see it and see the signs of it all the time. I like our industry, restoration entrepreneurs, business owners, leaders of restoration companies, to think about every house fire, every mold job, every water damage. You're there for 5, 7, 10 days to do the mitigation. Maybe you do the reconstruction and there's a couple of extra months, as far as sometimes a year. You're involved in that from that task-oriented place. But I don't want you to forget what people probably go through that they don't even know they're going to. Are they relocating? Are they having to move away into another facility, another house, an apartment complex, a hotel? Is it in their area? Are they having to relocate to a town away? And that now creates incredible complications on their travel back and forth for their kids' soccer games, family events. Anyone has ever had anyone that hasn't lived in their house for Thanksgiving or Christmas or Easter or whatever holiday is important to them, they know that it's really difficult to get your life back together. We see a lot of signs after disasters for disaster trauma that include depression, financial struggles, bankruptcy, divorce, financial, marital issues, drugs, alcohol, mental illness, anxiety over everything. It's a funny thing that once people have had a house flood, Kerrville, Pacific Northwest, every time it rains, there's a little part of their brain that says, oh no, here we go again. And that happened, especially the closer it is to the event that they had. They flooded on Tuesday, and on Friday, there's more rain coming. So it starts to wear people out. You know this, and I know this. If you're in the disaster business, you see it. This is a chance for us to actually do something about that. And that has been very, very empowering to me, and what I've been putting a little bit of my time to. Selfishly, I have been accumulating stories and accumulating ideas as I have been publishing books. I don't know if you know this. I have been, over the last few years, I have secretly, written some books of a series called the 8% Restorpreneur. And these are books, they're fiction, they're fables, they have fictional characters, but they're really, really driven into real world type people. So if you were to read an 8% book, you're probably going to recognize yourself in some of these characters. You're going to recognize the circumstances, the conversations, the business. And reading something like that and consuming a book that outlines the problem that we recognize, and then watch a transformation as that person or group of people overcome that. And they work through a framework or a shift or a paradigm to where they just have had enough, and they said they want something different, and they do, and they begin to have it. This is not a La La Land rainbow series. Not everyone has a happy ending. They just have a happier ending. They have a vision of what can go forward. That being said, I wrote all these books over the last couple of years, and not all of them. And I just decided these need to be published. I was imposter syndrome was out there. So I've now published 7 of those, have many, many more that aren't complete. They're still, but the success of the ones that I publish, I say success. They're not going to be on New York Times bestseller. I'm not going to be a Michael Crichton. I'm not going to be a Stephen King or any of those, or any well-known author. But I'm hoping that our industry, I can become a person that shares my experiences through the lens of a fictional character in a fable that's very easy to read. The books are generally short. I have many, many more, and the success and the response that I've been getting have been encouragement to keep going. Conversations that I've had have given me new ideas. USDR, deployments. I'm not writing about nonprofit stuff right now, but it's reminding me of the character of who an 8% person is. Of if I concluded, if I claim that 8% of our industry are top tier, these are the characteristics that I would say exist in that. And the people that are helping other people in these disaster zones would fit in that category. Don't have everything figured out, are not the biggest companies, are not the richest people, aren't on all the social medias, are not speakers on stage, but they are in their community, in their group, in their company. They are important and they are impactful, and they want to be more so. So the stories have helped me develop what 8% looks like more and more and more. And for that, this probably would be my compensation. Obviously with USDR, with the survival work, it's all unpaid. This is, sometimes there's a little bit of a donation there to help with some lodging. Sometimes we stay in tents. Sometimes we stay in our car. We have a rental car. We fly out, but our time is certainly, no one's paid. And to go even further, I feel so strongly about this organization, and I want to give as much as I reasonably can. The proceeds from my books, from the 8% books, go back directly to USDR, or they help fund the little bit that you make off books. By the way, it's not very much. It is $3 to $4 a book. So, I'm not going to sell enough, but it can pay for meals for me. It can pay for a flight or a car rental or whatever I need, or a tool that I need while I'm there. We're definitely we're not terribly poor for an organization, but we're very, very frugal. We buy things locally and we leave them there. If we buy a generator for some reason, we're going to find someone that needs a generator, a portable generator. If we find tents, we're going to find someone that needs those. If we use anything, we try to leave it there. We spend money locally. We bolster the local economy of where we can, help put some jobs back to work. We tip very, very well. We don't take free meals. So it's been great. It's what I hope that most nonprofits would look like. So to wrap up a little bit of how I think helping survivors is it helps you lead better and differently. You would come back to your business. And again, this is not a direct invite, but this has been my experience. I come back from a deployment exhausted, but inspired, thinking differently, talking differently, creating differently, leading differently. And my team we've questioned, does this make sense financially? I don't know if you can measure things on a P&L like that. I think these are intangible returns. My team has said, of course, our brand, our business, which we work very, very hard on, by the way. We are a brand company. We want people to know that people like this do things like that. No, we want to be part of it. People want to be part of something like that. And this is another thing. I'm hoping in the future some of my team can deploy with me if they have the feeling and the calling. I think they would get a lot from it. But I return and the conversations are differently. The creativity is flowing differently. What we do next is a little more clear because disasters have a way of providing clarity on what matters and what doesn't. There's no more social media while you're gone. You don't care about blue or red states or Trump, MAGA, liberal, woke. That's all it's all just a distraction. It's one of my books, by the way, Distraction. There are lots and lots and lots of entities in this world that are trying to steal your attention, your energy, and to have you jump on their team to support what they believe in. Maybe you do, but don't build somebody else's castle, build your own. So I love it. We have another training coming up in New Orleans very, very soon, a bigger group. We have 100 this time. Different people who offer different things between medical professionals, nurses, practitioners, mental health professionals, logistics, first aid, doctors. I mean, it's kind of growing. We want to control the growth, but we can serve better when we go somewhere. So I would say as I progress, follow this trajectory, call and reach out to me anytime. I'm going to put the link to USDR. If you want to donate, please do. Not always just in money. If you have goods, if you have resources, let us know so we can put you on our short call list if we have something. But if you one day you say, hey, Clark, I'd like to come out and experience that with a little bit. Let's see what it looks like. Because I think what you'll do is you'll come back to your business. And if you have core values and characteristics that you kind of hold dear for your brand and your company and your culture, I think they'll showcase from givers. And I think your team will see that you put your money where your mouth is. And again, I think you might start considering, and maybe I just offer my team the opportunity to locally, nationally, regionally, that I support them to do things like this. And maybe we have a local food drive. Maybe we do more things. I'm going to tell you right now, you're not doing it for your business, but your business will, people see what you're doing. People, when you do your social media posts, don't make it about you. Don't even make it about what you're doing. Make it about what people are getting from people like you, and you're inviting other people to do it with you, which is what I do and probably what I'm doing here. I think that there is still a huge amount of capacity in our space for incredible restorers that want to be more impactful to not only their customers, but to the industry, to their communities, and to their employees. I think that we get stuck in chasing money and insurance companies and all the distractions, which app do I need? How many pieces of software do I need? All that. It's not what's important. I know it's important to get paid. And I'm doing my own things about that. I'm doing education on customer onboarding. Tell the customer how you do work and what the expectations are and what they are not. And I think that I'm seeing results. There is a way around this to where you can be the company that you want, feel the way you feel, spend your time the way you want to, and not be driven in a reactive world, but a proactive world. That's what's been going on with me for the last couple of months. I have agreed to sit down and record several more podcasts. I've got a lot of new individuals, not just from the survivor work, but just people I've met that would be great for interviews on the podcast. By the way, my podcast, I am not going after the ones that are on every podcast. I'm not looking for industry icons that are selling something. A lot of those people that have great services are my friends, and they will be here. But that's a byproduct. That's what they do. It's not who they are. I want to have good conversations. I'm going to bring people in here that really fire people up. I'm not going to make this podcast a complete, let's all go nonprofit, but I'm going to continue to set the example, set models of what I think that we are all, there's a quote that I have that I've been using in a lot of my classes lately. The best things about our industry are enough to get rid of the worst things in our industry. We have a lot of good people, a lot of good things that we do. We need to get better at running off the bad characters and holding them accountable and shining a light on them. And then we need to be positive and showcase positivity and not argue with the silly adjusters and TPAs and people who are trying to cut your bill for no other reason than just to make their money. I always say, if someone's questioning your bill, ask them why. What about it? What exactly, where are you coming from? What's your experience that warrants that for you? What's your background? Have you ever been to a restoration project? Have you ever done an ICRC class, which by the way is not enough, but what makes you say this? Well, this is what everybody else does. Well, I'm great because I don't normally do what everybody else does because 8% do it right. The rest don't. So I have to be very, very specific and intentional about how we do things. And we do this. We put this PPE on. We handle the space this way. We put containment here for that. We dry till it's dry, not dry until you want to see the number. So all I'm saying there is don't get sucked into that. I'm focusing on other things that we can do to make a big difference to the people that mean the most. So shortish version, Disaster Podcaster, we're bringing it back. Toby and I have talked. We're going to do some with just me. Toby and I will do some together, probably some longer form. We have a lot of big conversations that we want to talk about together. And then I will have some guests here and there. So I'm going to mix it really up. But really what I want you to do is I want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, unless you listen to this somewhere else, but tune in, be part of the conversation, and either in the comments or email us, go to our website and just give us some ideas of what you think about what we've said and what are we leaving out. And if you want to be on the podcast, I don't care who you are. If you're a technician for a company in Omaha, or if you're a president of a company in New York City, listen, if you're our people, this is your show too. Come be with us. So it's an open invite. I'd like to make this, we don't make any money off of podcasts, but we would like to be one of the bigger places where people go for good, real, authentic information. No agendas, no trying to convince you to run a business the way we think you should. Nothing like that. We talk about those things and you can do what you want. So I want Disaster Podcaster to be a place that restores feel like there are conversations that they should be having too here. And then let's do them together. I have no problem putting a few people on a podcast together. It'd be great to have a little round table forum. That would be a unique thing that we don't see in this industry very often. So anyway, that's it for me, Clark Brown, Restoration Advisors, Disaster Podcaster. Have a great week. I've got some travel coming up, starting to hit a lot of the Aramcos. We have made a national partnership, so maybe take a look at our site and keep your eyes open for maybe a class that's popping up near you or close enough for you to travel to, and see if it's on a subject or category that you could probably sharpen your axe with. Other than that, have a great week, and we'll see you really soon. Cheers.